What up, Whiskey Ginger fans? Welcome back to the show. If it's your first time joining the show, welcome to the show. Man, thank you for the journey. We're in the middle of the summer. We're cruising along. We got a lot of great episodes coming up, and I'm traveling a whole bunch, including to London and Dublin. Me and Bobby Lee are playing London and Dublin July 18th and 19th. Go to badfriendspod.com or andrewsantino.com. Either way, badfriendspod.com to come see me and Bobby Lee in London and Dublin. One time only. We may not come back together. Who knows? So, check it out. Let's go to the episode.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Whiskey Ginger. My guest today is one of my favorite people on earth. I say that for all my guests, but I mean once again today. It is legendary Kevin Smith.
I feel like we're wasting our time here. Why aren't we in an auction house? Do that again. That was so fast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Whiskey Ginger. My guest today is one of my favorite people on earth. I say that for all my guests, but I mean once again today. It's Kevin Smith.
I mean, now
4 to 5 to 7 to 9.
Yes, I'm
I
telling
know.
you, man. Like, if this don't work out, this podcasting thing, although there's
It's
enough
not
pictures
really.
of you, seems to be working out.
Fan made. No, I
Hog
made
calling
these. Yeah.
and auction calling.
I could do it. I mean, my career is struggling. Hollywood is not calling, so I
Same.
should do calling.
Hold
yeah.
my beer. Fuck. Well, the problem is I keep showing Hollywood. They're like, what do you want to do next? I'm like, Clerks 3. They're like, fuck, another
Yeah.
Clerks. So they've lost interest in me a long time ago. Good news is I didn't wait for Hollywood or whatever that is to start my career. I started on my own. Like, I'm an indie filmmaker at heart. So even when the business has no use for me, and there are many years running in a row where they have no use for me, I still find a way to do what I do.
Yeah, no, you've done a great job, by the way, for people that are...
Let's talk about that fucking jersey,
well,
man.
I mean,
You're
I
flying
wore
the
it for
colors.
you.
Look at that.
I wore it for you. Well, here's the
Copper
deal.
and the blue.
I just played Edmonton, and they gave me this as a gift. Edmonton was one of the first cities...
Where did you play at Edmonton?
I played a casino, but I usually play... last time we were there, do you remember where we played?
The synagogue, the temple.
I played, yeah, there's 2 synagogues I play.
There's
yeah.
a place there that I've played. No, there's a place that's
Yeah.
normally like a temple, but then on the weekends,
It's a venue.
What is the name of it? But I played there a few times. I love Edmonton. I was a big Oilers fan. Not when it was happening,
Right.
with Gretzky and stuff. Years later, I became a legacy Oilers fan and stuff. So I spent a long time doing things in the city. It's a great place.
Alberta has a special place in my heart. I headlined there young. I love it.
Alberta bound. Really? So when
Yeah.
you were a kid, they were like, "We'll take you up."
They
here."
took me on when I was
You got a
too
Canadian
early.
look about you.
Do I?
They're like, "Oh, you could pass."
Rough
Like, they
and
probably
tumble.
looked at you and they're like, "Come home, son. You're straight out Regina."
Get out here, eh? Get
Yeah.
up here and do your gig, bud. Get up there and go for it, eh?
You're like, "This is not the red of the red and the white, but never blue."
It's
This is
pretty
red,
matchy
white,
to this, man. I mean, I'm pretty
you
close.
are blending. It's almost like a green screen effect. It's like where you're
I'm gonna disappear.
You are right.
It's
into
also
the blue
game
wall.
1 is tonight. I mean, I know this podcast will be out after, but
And it's Florida versus the Oilers made it.
yeah, man,
That's the second year in a row where they got pretty damn deep.
it's a big deal. Nobody wants Florida to win. You can't. A hockey team from Florida is crazy.
But they've done it before.
I know. That's
Now,
what's even more nuts.
this would be
Tampa Bay was
amazing.
just the same.
We're already talking about a dynasty team. This is way more sports than I'm sure most people want to talk about. But this is a dynasty team to begin with. They won 3 cups with Gretzky, 1 without. So they got 4 cups to their name. They got close on 2 other occasions, maybe 3. This could be the moment.
This could be it.
And is Connor McDavid still?
He's the man. Probably one of the greatest of all time. The
This
greatest
could
of all
be
time. No,
Nick
one of.
Jesus' moment.
Yeah.
This could be it. You got me excited. I pulled my head out of the hockey world. I've had my head lodged firmly up the ass of Dogma for the last month and change, so I haven't been paying attention to much. And I did know that Florida made it in because I saw it in my feed, but I didn't know they were going head to head with the Oilers.
The Oil Boys.
That's an easy pick for me.
Yeah, it's Edmonton all the way for you.
All the way.
Yeah, there's
and
no
that's,
chance.
you know, I say that with a mom who lives in Florida, but still, like, to see Canada hoist a cup again, a Canadian team, for somebody who's not from Canada, but does appreciate Canadiana, it would be meaningful.
It would be, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and Mom is in Florida. Shout out to Mom. We love Mom. We always love Mom. We love
do.
Mom. But
Without Mom, we wouldn't be here.
That's
She
exactly
reminds me
right.
of that all the time.
For people that are perhaps too young, I do have some youngish fans on the show.
The uninitiated? Who am I?
You are.
Most of them are like, wait, he's the guy from King of Queens?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's the other Kevin.
No,
James.
you are such a profound influence in most of my
That's why
circle
I
of
left my
friends'
house
life.
and drove over here to hear words like
You
that.
are. I mean, honestly,
Profound.
your
I'll
movies
take that.
shaped my comedic youth, my young adulthood, the way we spoke to each other, the way we joked to each other.
Do you know-
you were that was so important to our seeing something that as young guys that wanted to get into comedy and make stuff, we were like, we want to do that. We want to fuck around and do that stuff. So it was kind of like that gave us this little like, oh, we could do shit like that. You can be with your friends, write these beautiful, funny, goofy, weird scenes and Clerks was such a big part of our youth and our life, and Chasing Amy. It's like all these things and Mallrats, they became our entire packaging of who we became.
Let me tell you something.
All right, get the fuck out of here.
I know, I'm done. I'm never going to be better than that. Jesus Christ. I run the risk of ruining all that by
No.
saying something stupid like this. How the fuck are you not playing Archie?
I know, dude.
Like,
I know.
fucking, this is the Archie movie I want to make where
I
he's just
know.
like, it was neither Betty nor Veronica. It was Jughead the whole time.
Jughead the whole time.
And it's about two dudes who are like deeply in love, they'll never fuck. That's basically Clerks.
That is.
I feel like who would be your Jughead? Before we get back to me, I got to know.
Who would be my Jughead?
I mean, Bobby.
Bobby Lee is an easy pick. I mean, but give me,
Bro,
'cause
and that helps.
he is my best
We
friend.
don't want two white guys in
Yeah,
this
no, no,
picture,
no,
so
no,
that's
no,
a
no, no.
good fucking thing. Put a crown on him.
right?
Cocky.
Cock it. Yeah. Maybe we could.
I could see Glassman being.
Are you guys
Jughead.
tight?
Yeah. Oh, he is my best friend.
He's in a movie. I'm in a movie with him, but he's in a movie with my friend. He's in Logic's movie.
Oh, yeah, no.
Which is playing at
I was supposed to
Tribeca.
be in it.
You were going to be in it as well?
I know. I'm really sad. Yeah.
What scene? Because
Logic
I was the
called
editor.
me.
I exec produced it, and I was
He
the
told
editor
me.
of the
He
movie.
told me you were doing it, and he called me. I couldn't do it.
love
I was
that movie.
working. I was
It
bummed.
debuts at Tribeca next week. Clerks. You can't tell I say that word 26 times a day. Dogma comes out June 5th in theaters everywhere, 2,000 screens across the country. June 6th, I'm going to be at the Tribeca Film Festival as Logic debuts his first film. Kids, this picture is called Paradise Records. It's fucking beautiful. 6 months from now, a lot of people are going to be talking about it and shit. Where do you remember where you were going to be? Were you going to be in the Bobby Lee scene?
Yeah.
So you were going to be getting baked with Logic's dad.
Yeah.
And
I screwed
fucking
up.
T-Man.
Well, I had to work, and he was like, "I can't do
This
it."
is why you're not playing Archie,
I
bitch.
know, dude,
Like
I know.
it starts with a Logic
I know.
movie, and then
I know.
you get fucking Return to Riverdale.
I'm
and
not
shit.
doing the right things, man. Well, the kid in the river, they dyed his hair, right? He wasn't even a.
Exactly.
Yeah, that really
the
pissed me off.
motherfucker in Riverdale from
Yeah,
CW.
that pissed me off.
Not only not a redhead, from what I remember, and this is not being me, being fucking MAGA, but not an American.
He's not one of us.
I don't think so. If I remember correctly, I believe. Can we look that up? I
America
think he might be
first.
from Australia.
He's
or
an
something.
Australian, the kid from
And when
Riverdale.
I heard that, I was like, we can't have a Superman. We can't have a Batman. It's always some Brit and stuff. But I think he came from some other place, too.
keep taking
All
it
of our
away.
comic book icons.
Yeah, he's from Auckland, New Zealand.
There it is.
God.
From Enzi right there.
He's not even from Australia. He's from the other one.
How can he inhabit the soul of Archie? And yet did for like fucking how many seasons and shit?
Apparently, he did a great job, by the way. So kudos to that kid.
Kudos to him.
But wait, back it up. Dogma.
Yes.
You're re-releasing Dogma.
Yeah.
In
After
2000
we're calling
theaters.
it the 25th anniversary. Technically, it's the 26th, but like the Catholic Church, we're stretching the truth a
Yeah.
little bit.
No one will
Tell
know.
a story. Yeah.
No one will know.
Have faith, kids.
Right.
Have faith this 25th
New Pope.
anniversary.
New Pope. That's how they trick you.
New Pope sweeps clean,
Yeah.
as they say. So now's the time to bring it out. We started our tour because I've been touring for like the last month, which is fucking beautiful. Talk about an easy sell. Easier to sell Dogma than it is to sell. Like me and Jay had just come off of, we toured in February, the Oral Sex Tour. Me and Jason Mewes, the guy I'm always standing next to professionally or personally. So we went out and did the Oral Sex Tour, AURALSECTS. And man, I was putting fucking tweeting and Instagramming, storying and TikToking right up till showtimes, getting asses in seats.
Mm-hmm.
Dogma, like we're doing a round of shows. They all sold out instantly. So I was like, I'm already in a place. Add another show. That sold out as well. So every night on the Dogma tour, easy sell because it's nostalgia.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, fuck, I saw this movie with my grandmother when I was a kid and she loved it. I saw this movie with a lady I got 3 kids with. It's your fucking fault. And so, like, easy sell. And then I get to come out afterwards and victory lap. So you're not talking about, like, fuck, I got to come up with, like, an hour of new material and shit. I've been telling Dogma stories since 1999. So it was like, oh, my God. I go out Q&A style. But, you know, you get to talk about whatever you want to talk about. So somebody asked the Dogma questions, which we just watched Dogma. I'm loaded for bear with stories I've been telling forever. So what an easy month. Like 20 cities I did when all said and done. 2 shows a night. In Jersey, I did 3 shows because I own my own movie theater there. We were able to sell a little bit more because it's like, see it in my theater. And it was absolute bliss. Now, me and Jay are going back out on the Oral Sex Tour Part 2. And fuck, selling tickets is just hard when you don't have like, hey, I'm following Dogma, you know. But they were getting a killer value for Dogma for like $50 a ticket. You see this old ass 2-hour movie, but then I would come out and do a 2-hour Q&A afterwards.
2
That's
hours?
Like 4 fucking hours.
That's a long
I
time.
love the sound of my own voice. Obviously.
You want headphones? Should we give him headphones?
Yeah, I fucking you go away. I'm good. I got this. So it has been absolute fucking bliss, man. And now it comes out just everywhere for people to see it because the tour was like, number one, we could make good money, but number two, it's a way to promote the movie before it just hits screens June 5th everywhere. So it is coming out again, man, and how lovely to stand behind something old. You know, generally speaking, I got to go out there with something new all the time. You got to convince people that you're still worth their fucking time, you're still relevant or something like that. So like even a couple of years ago, we did Clerks 3, and it's like, at least it's got Clerks in the title. Oh, yeah, there's a 3. Ignore that part and shit. But still, like, you know, you're asking people to take a chance on something they don't know.
Sure.
They know Clerks. They don't know what Clerks 3 is going to be like. And a lot of them were like, why'd you kill the fucking one guy? Dogma? Everybody knows what it is. So every night I'd be like, how many people have seen Dogma before? And, you know, wow. I was like, all right, how many people have never seen it in a movie theater? And then there would be a lot of people because a lot of people just saw it on home video. But then I'd always ask, how many people have never seen this movie before tonight? And under 2%. But there would definitely be at least 10 people clapping their hands and shit. To which point I'd be like, why the fuck would you overpay to see a movie you've never seen before?
Because you're there.
I guess.
It's for you,
They
man.
were dragged with some parent to whom the movie meant something.
Sure.
So I become this legacy thing that people pass on. Something that in the beginning of my career I never planned for or thought about. Like, oh man, maybe one day people will like my shit so much they'll give me to their kids. But I understand it because I was raised that way. My father gave me George Carlin. That was a gift from my father to be like, you can handle this. At age 9, he gave me Class Clown.
And you got to work with him.
Eventually,
Which is insane
I
to me.
aggregated too. I'm not going to say I made that happen. The universe is kind. But I did on Dogma go like, I want George Carlin for Cardinal Glick. And reached out. We found his manager's number, this guy named Jerry. I called him up. I said, hey man, it's Kevin Smith, Scott Mosier. We made Clerks. And he goes, I don't know what that is. And I was like, well, then you ain't going to know the second movie at all, Mallrats. Nobody saw it. He goes, nope. I said, well, we got this movie now, Chasing Amy. It's got buzz and stuff. He goes, never heard of it. And I was like, all right, well, I said, we did co-executive produce Good Will Hunting. And he goes, Ben and Matt, I love those guys. And I was like, all right, man, well, we got the next Ben and Matt movie. We're making it, and we want George to be in it. He goes, you want George to be a comedian in your movie? I said, no. I want him to play a role. I want him to act. He goes, what role would he play? I said, he'd play Catholic Cardinal. He goes, fuck, George, I love that shit. So he was like, send me a script. I was like, I'll do you one better. I'm going to be on Late Night with Conan O'Brien back when he was on NBC. So I said, I'm the second guest, George's first guest. I'll bring the fucking script. And he goes, I'll introduce you to George. We'll get the ball rolling and shit. And I couldn't wait. I was going to meet my fucking childhood hero, man. Like, and when you're a kid who loves your parent, like I know there are people out there that are like, I hated my fucking parents. I love my parents. They were really cool people. We didn't have this super tight relationship like I got with my kid, but I fucking have so much respect for him. Even as a kid, I was like, these motherfuckers have no money. And they figured out how to raise 3 kids on a postal fucking employee salary, a govy salary and stuff, and still take us places. We went on like cool vacations. Like my father, I think because he worked at the post office, to keep him from going postal and fucking killing people, he would go on vacation once a year and we got to go as well. And so he was like, I want to do this. I want to see this. My father wanted to like see the world. So we saw most of America when I was a kid, even though we were fucking poor and shit. So growing up, that dude, he means something to me. And not in that fucking like, you know, I love my daddy and shit. He's my father's mystery is inscrutable as a you know, fucking Iranian film to me. I could never figure him out because we never sat down and had a conversation like this. He was a 70s dad, very closed off. You just respected them and shit like that. But I saw him light up watching Carlin. If you ever want to know who somebody truly is, watch comedy with them. Because you'll see what makes them laugh. And you'll see like not just their, you know, their intelligence level, but their empathy level as well. It teaches you a lot about motherfucker. And for somebody who wasn't sharing a lot, watching my father watch George Carlin taught me more about my father than my father ever taught me about himself. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't that kind of guy. But watching him fucking what he laughed at, what he thought was funny, the shit that I didn't understand, which I would then go look up independently long before there was an internet and shit, made me smarter and also made me like figure him out a little bit more. So my father loved George Carlin and I loved my father. So it was a good bet that I was probably going to grow up loving George Carlin, and I did. And so I got to make a movie one day, and then I made another, and then felt good when we were making the fourth one. I was like, we got to get this motherfucker. So his guy was like, you're going to meet him at Conan. I said, this is great. I hang up the phone. Between the time I hang up the phone and I'm going to be on Conan, George's wife passes away rather suddenly. So you'd imagine, and he'd be forgiven and be like, I ain't going to fucking do some late
night show.
Fuck this.
Yeah.
He still went. And it's, you know, number one, he was a professional. Number two, his wife ran his life. And so his wife was probably the one that set up that
100%,
schedule.
right.
So I think there was no chance he was going to miss it because, especially like when I met him later on and when he had a conversation with me. So he did go do the show that night. He didn't do any of the material he'd been doing in his recent stand-up special. He did a much older desk piece where he could sit down and read from papers. And he was still funny because he was George Carlin, but everybody in the audience knew his wife died. And so you could tell, you know, again, not like he wasn't funny, but you could tell something was off. And the fact that he wasn't going up there and doing his current material communicated, look, I'm here, but I'm not here. So I was like, you know, I saw Jerry that night. And I was like, dude, this seems like the worst time to be like, hi, I'm Silent Bob, you know? So I was like, just here's the script. You give it to him at your leisure and shit. And so I didn't meet him that night. But then Jerry called me the next day and he goes, George read your script last night. He wants to talk to you about it. Can you meet him at the Four Seasons on Friday in Beverly Hills for noon, you know, lunch? And I was like, fuck yeah. So I go and meet George Carlin, and I remember he comes up to the table and goes, Kevin Smith, George Carlin. I said, oh my God, I know who you are. I'm a huge fan. He goes, I could tell because I read your script. I was like, did you like it? And he goes, kind of feel responsible for it. And I was like, well, yeah, man, you're a huge influence. He goes, huge influence. Kevin, there's some scenes where I think I deserve co-screenwriting credit. And I was like, you know, we could talk about that if you're in the movie. And he goes, well, that's what I'd like to talk to you about. He's going, I want to be in it. He's going, it fucks with the church, and I'm all for that sort of thing. He's going, but we got a problem. He goes, as you know, my wife passed away recently. I was like, I know, I'm sorry. He goes, me too. I'm going to miss her. She was a cool lady. He's going, and because of that, I'm not ready to take off my wedding band right now. It's too soon for me. And I know if I'm playing a Catholic cardinal in your movie, can't be wearing a wedding band. They're married to Jesus or some such shit. So we find ourselves at an impasse. He goes, but I was thinking about it last night. I think I might have an idea. It could be a fix, but I got to run it past you and see if you like it. If you allow me to wear a Band-Aid around my wedding band, in the scene, I could be your Cardinal Glick, but in real life, I can hold on to my wedding band, still be in your scene, and still do what I need to do for myself. And he goes, now, I know this might be a problem because then it tells a different story than you were intending to tell with the Cardinal. He's clumsy, or maybe you don't want to see some big-ass Band-Aid on the big screen. But if you could see your way clear to let me wear a Band-Aid around my wedding band, I think I could be your Cardinal Glick. What do you think? And I was like, I think I wish you were my fucking father. I was like, that's the most beautiful shit I ever heard. You can wear as many Band-Aids as you want. So getting to work with like a comedy fucking legend, you would think, oh my God, how much funny did he bring to? I mean, he brought the funny of, hey, it's George Carlin. But this motherfucker was, you would think, as a guy who, for my estimation, if there's a comedy Mount Rushmore, his fucking face would be on it, right? You would think there's a guy who's like, I don't know who the fuck I am. I'm comedian George Carlin. He backed into that. That was something he didn't aim for. It was something he kind of settled for. He wanted to be an actor. He wanted to be Danny Kaye. He grew up going to movies with his brother and with his mom, and his mom loved Danny Kaye movies, so naturally he was like, well, that's what I want to do. It makes my mother happy and shit. So he wanted to be a song and dance man, a movie for kids that don't know who Danny Kaye is. He played Hans Christian Andersen in a movie way long ago. So that was George's dream, was to act. He got cast a few times, right? He was like with Six You Get Egg Roll. He was in the Bill and Ted movies. He was in Barbra Streisand put him in Prince of Tides. And I put him in fucking Kevin Smith movies. And I kept doing it, A, because I like being around George Carlin, but B, he loved to fucking act. Like, this is what he wanted to do with his life. He was so fucking method. It was crazy. He treated everything so fucking seriously, even my goofy ass shit. Case in point, we're making Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, in which George's role, inarguably, is hitchhiker who blows trucker. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be Daniel Day-Lewis living the inner life of this character to bring
But you
this to
could.
life.
It would help.
He might do something with it unforeseen. George, you know, I was like, it's a one-note joke. George is on set. He goes, Kevin, I have a question for you as the author of this piece. And I was like, recognized. And he goes, the unwritten book of the road. That's what I'm talking about. And he goes, now, do I believe in this shit, or am I just fucking with these two assholes? I was like, wow, George, you've already given the script more thought than I did when I wrote it. I was like, so if I had to pick a side of the fence when I wrote it, I always assumed your character was believing what he said. He goes, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. That's the intention I'm going to play. And I was like, I think it's adorable that you're giving it this much effort, but you literally could phone this one in, man. Like, it's
But he
just
never
you're
did.
blowing a trucker. And he goes, Kevin, you don't know anything about the subtle art of performance, do you? And I said, no, enlighten me. And he goes, well, I'm an actor, and that means it's my job to tell the lie that tells the truth. In order to do that, I need as much emotional honesty as possible, as much data as I possibly can in order to suspend the window of disbelief so your audience can crawl through it into your magical world. So when I ask you these questions, I don't do it to be an unctuous actor who needs attention. I simply need you to tell me how deeply you want me to throat this guy's dick. And I was like, I think maybe this much. He goes, that's what I thought. That's the intention I'm going to play. He was so fucking serious about it and wonderful to be around. But you're a comedian, you know comedians and shit like that. Biggest complaint I ever hear about comedians, and perhaps the biggest complaint I would ever have about comedians, and I love comedians, have nothing but the most utmost respect and shit, and I always have throughout my young life. Comedians who don't turn it off.
Oh, yeah.
Comedians who are working 100% of the time. Now,
yeah.
God bless you, bringing that much merriment to the table at all times. What stamina. But it's tough to have a conversation with a dude who's on.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough.
But
And
there's two kinds of comics. Some people are always on, and some people are more private and switch and go kind of dark or low. Or
Carlin was the other guy.
Yeah.
You could sit there and talk to him about fucking anything.
Yeah.
Just he was a normal ass guy. And half the time as he was talking, you were going like, what? He doesn't feel the need to be fun. No. And not because he's like, not until I'm paid. Just normal person, and what he did for a living was what he did
it's
for
his
a
job. Now, and Rock was a young actor when he worked, a young comic and actor. I mean, like,
And
was
Rock
his
was breaking, like,
Yeah, he
huge.
was
Now, you
blowing
got to
up.
remember, he had a fucking career. Like, this is a young kid who was in I'm Gonna Get,
Get
You,
You,
Sucker.
Sucker, yeah.
You
got change for 100?
How much is a bucket of ribs? And also, he'd been on SNL, and I was a huge Nat X fan and
Right.
shit. But then after SNL, he dipped. But then he had Roll with the New, and he kind of reestablished as a thinking man's comic.
Right.
So he was breaking huge at that point, and he loved Chasing Amy for some reason.
We
And
all love Chasing Amy.
I mean, God bless y'all. But later on, he made a movie in life. He directed a movie, wrote and directed, called Top 5. That feels like very Chasing Amy to me. And he that movie meant something to him. So he was like, what are you doing next? And I was like, we're doing this movie Dogma, where we got Rufus, the 13th Apostle, and George Carlin. Like, I didn't even finish before he was just like, I want to do that. That sounds amazing. So getting to work on the same set with two comics at the top of their fucking game, like a legend and a growing legend.
Legend to be, yeah.
And they got to hang out, and I got to watch them hang out and pick each other's brains. It was absolutely like spellbinding in the process of getting to make my dream movie at the same time. And this was before I ever took the stage, at a comedy club. I got to comedy clubs like not the conventional route, where I was like, I think I'm funny, and I would get up on stage or something. When you make a film and you go to film festivals, they push you out after the movie's done, like, go answer for yourself and shit. And you do Q&A and whatnot. And I'd never felt like comfortable about waxing erudite about filmmaking, considering I'd made one movie and the movie looked like it was shot through a fucking glass of milk. So I couldn't stand up there and be like, here are my theories on cinema. But I'd watched enough comics. I was a huge fan of stand-up comedy to know that somebody puts a mic in your hand, fucking try to be funny. So I would get up there and be like, let me tell you how we got the cat to shit on Q in the movie. And, there's a charming story attached to it. So I was up there for years doing Q&A. It was my favorite part of filmmaking. Like, fuck making the movies. I get to talk about them afterwards and stand on stage and make people laugh and shit like that. And the immediacy of standing on a stage and saying something funny and hearing people react to it in real time, beats 1,000%. Having an idea, going, that's funny. And then one day writing it down and putting in the context of something, and then hoping nobody ever has the same idea as you, and then finally finding money to execute and or elevate that idea or joke in a movie, and then editing, and it survives that process. And then through different screenings, it eventually winds up in the movie. And then years after you have this initial thought, maybe it gets the laugh you dream about 2-3 years prior. Standing on a fucking stage and being like, we kept that cat away from a litter box for 2 fucking days, and hearing people instantly laugh, I was like, oh, this is way more preferable to what I do for a living and way cheaper in the process.
Right.
But the great irony is I don't get up there and tell those stories unless I'm dragging ass with a movie behind me. So
Sure.
my fucking Tantalus, my underworld experiences, like, in order to do the thing I want to do, I have to do the thing that the internet tells me over and over again for 30 years I'm not good at doing. So I have to put up with a lot of people being, you suck at your job and your movies suck, and be like, all right. Because I know at the end of the process, I get what I want, which is I get to stand on a stage and pretend to be a comedian. So I backdoored into comedy clubs, and for years I would not do a comedy club because I was like, I didn't earn that shit. Like, I did theaters. Like, I sold out, and this ain't bragging, but this is just to illustrate a point. I sold out Carnegie Hall on the back of just doing Q&A, being funny on a stage without ever calling myself a comedian, and never doing comedy clubs because I was like, comedy clubs are only for comics. I'm not a comic. I just answer questions on a stage. There's a difference. But I knew for years that, yes, I was answering questions on stage, but, the art of Q&A is like, somebody's going to say what they want to say. You could say whatever the fuck you want. So you got like 96 stories loaded and ready to go. And just like any ad-lib artist or, what was that shit where they're like...
Improv comics?
Comics, where it's like panda, basketball. You figure out how to fit those 2 words in an already existing fucking sketch that you've gotten last before you're good to go. So it just fit like into my wheelhouse, over time. And so over time, I started like getting rid of the movies. Like, it used to be I did colleges for like 10 years. It was amazing because I was so young when I started my career. I was close to the college kids' age. So they wanted me all the time. They would ask for me and shit. And for the beginning of my career, I didn't know you could get paid for this sort of thing. So any college called me up, be like, hey man, we're showing Mallrats. You want to talk about it afterwards? I was like, fuck yes, man. So I'd drive down to Delaware on my own dime. They'd be showing fucking Mallrats at the theater at the campus and shit. And then afterwards, I get up and talk about it because these kids gave a fuck. Mallrats is a movie that tanked at the theater. Here's a bunch of college kids going, hey, Jason Lee's funny. I was like, right? Fucking thanks. Where were you fucking 6 months ago and shit like that? So I did that for so long. And the last time I did it for kind of for free, I was at Rutgers Camden campus. And, fucking when you go, I'm sure you've been to colleges, student activities, people bring in shit like that. And so, I talked for 2 hours, and then I was like, hey, I've got these Clerks cartoon, man. Nobody ever saw. Watch this shit. And I went out and grabbed some cigarettes and whatnot, because I was a big cigarette smoker in those days. So I'm outside grabbing a cigarette, and the student activities girl was like, you're not done. And I was like, I mean, do you need me to be done? She goes, no, you keep talking as long as you want. And I was like, oh, great, because I love talking. And she goes, it's just you're gone. You're done double of what Janine Garofalo did already. And I was like, oh, Janine was here because we'd made Dogma.
Yeah.
She was in Dogma. So I was like, oh, Janine was here? And she goes, yeah, she did it like 45 minutes and then she left. And I was like, oh. And I'm smoking, and then she goes, and we paid her $25,000. And I was like,
what?
yeah, I was like, why? What did she do? Did she save a life? And she was like, no, that's what people get paid to do. She's going, you're the first person we've ever booked who doesn't get paid. And I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, I thought it was just part of the responsibility of like, oh, I made these movies. I got to talk about them for the rest of my life. You carry them around like herpes for the rest of your life. So I figured like it's good for my business to go out and talk about these movies, but it never once occurred to me that I could get paid for that sort of thing. So from that screening forward, I was like, look, if you want me to drive to Florida to talk after Mallrats, you got to pay for my gas at least. One day an agent was like, let me handle this for you.
Yeah. We'll get you a little bit more than gas, dude.
And I started actually getting paid to do it. But so I got to the stand-up stage through a very long, convoluted process where, honestly, it was Ralphie May at one point where I was like, I can't do comedy clubs, man. You got to, if I go to a comedy club, it ain't a comedian's audience that's going to be there. It's going to be my audience showing up to see me. And Ralphie May was like, Kevin, it doesn't matter if it's your audience showing up to see you in a comedy club, if you can fill a comedy club, you're a fucking comedian. He's like, don't worry, go do the clubs. And that was incredibly liberating because like when you're doing theaters and shit, and this is going to sound like first world problems, but when you're doing theaters, you're doing like Carnegie Hall, that's a lot of seats to sell.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking comedy club, 200, 300. Yeah. That was, then it was like suddenly in sales wise, I got to throttle down. But in terms of content wise, I got to get even more adventurous and shit.
Sure.
Oh my God. So, and then I wind up on stages doing a thing that I grew up watching people doing, never once thinking, oh, I can do that. Like I wasn't the kid in high school that was, or even grade school, who was like the class clown or funny or anything like that. You know, I was witty and I could write shit. But I got to wind up being a stand-up artist in this life without shooting for it. But it came as a backdoor from movies, which sounds exactly as sexy as I meant it.
Yeah, but isn't that amazing to think that like Carlin backed into stand-up but wanted to be an actor, and then you...
And the only reason I do what I do is because of him. Growing up listening to his albums and watching his HBO specials, seeing a guy be erudite. But when I was a kid, it wasn't even so much that. Like when you're a kid, you come for the cursing, right? It's like, oh, he fucking cursed.
Said
Cocksucker
fuck like 9
motherfucker tits.
times.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But when you listen to the albums over and over again or watch the specials over and over again in order to learn them and do them on the playground or whatever, what sticks with you is how wizened the motherfucker is. Even at a young age, you're like, this guy's smart. Like, he's just common sense thinking. I think I got smarter listening to George Carlin.
Oh, for sure.
As a kid. And so he was the gift that kept on giving. Motherfucker never sat me down and said, you should do what I do. And you know, probably because he never could conceive of it. Like, you know, he knew me as one guy. He knew me as the guy that wrote Dogma and stuff like that. And he was never there for like a Q&A and stuff. I got to see him perform live, though, many times across my life. But post-Dogma, like me and Rock were on set with him one day. And he goes, you know, I'm going to be playing Caesar's Palace in Atlantic City in 2 months. He goes, you guys should go. Because we were talking about blah, 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 blah. And he wanted us to go, not because he was bragging, because he goes, I'll show you how to do my show for an afternoon crowd. Because he was telling us about the subtle difference between like doing what he normally does and then doing it.
Like a 4 p.m.?
And doing for Vegas and Atlantic City, where he's like, Kevin, they don't want to hear the smart shit. He goes, they want to hear cocksucker motherfucker tits. They want to hear all the easy stuff. They don't want to hear sharp observations. And so we're like, no way. There's no way you just do a normal show. And he goes, oh, I'll show you. And so me and Rock go to Caesar's Palace in Atlantic City. And it's me and my wife, Jennifer, like when we're early in our, we must have been married at that point. I don't even know if we were married at that point. It was right before we got married. She was pregnant. And then Rock and his wife at that point, Malak. And we had like, Carlin got us his booth like right up front. So like I could have taken a Kleenex, balled it up, hurled it at his hip and shattered it. You know, we were that close. So, you know, if you know Carlin, he's got this one bit he did later in his career. People I could do without. And it's like a list bit where he's just listing fucking randos and it's kind of fun. So it's like guys named Skip, you know, the audience like, One of them is, you know, and it always fucking made me smile because I've been doing this shit my whole life. He goes, guys over the age of 12 who wear their baseball caps backwards. So my whole life I've been listening to that bit going like, oh, I feel seen and shit. So we go to watch him and he does that bit as part of the routine because it's not this is going to alienate people. It's a general like, people suck and any audience can enjoy that. So there's me and Rock sitting there and next to our wives and George is doing his bit and he starts it. And when he starts it, I was like, oh shit, like I'm going to be in the room for baseball cap. And so he's going through the routine and he doesn't even look at us. He just goes, another person I could do without. Kevin, you're exempt from this. Guys over the age of 12 who wear their baseball caps backwards. And nobody in the room knew who I was and shit like that. Nor even if they saw me sitting there, it's not like he's fucking famous. Like I was still, if you knew art films, you knew Clerks and Chasing Amy, or if you saw Mallrats and Home Video, maybe you knew who I was. Maybe you'd be like, oh, that looks like Silent Bob. But it wasn't like everybody was like, oh, the celebrated fucking Kevin Smith. But Chris Rock was sitting next to me and he goes, oh, he knows your name. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. It was a pretty highlight moment.
That's amazing.
It was cool.
I mean, to skip through that in the show, because you know what's so funny about that? When we talk about that as a comic, you could say stuff, most audiences never heard it. They never even knew it happened. It's almost like it's like passing cars. It's like, oh, that car was blue. You're like, was it? They don't even hear it.
Right.
So what's funny is it's just for you, and how great that he gave you that little nugget and cruised so fast beyond it. You will hold it forever. No one else knew. That's amazing.
It was one of those things where it's like, you don't have to do that.
Oh yeah.
But he knew I was sitting right there, and he wasn't doing it to like, this is gonna soften the blow because it's gonna hurt Kev. Like, I'm thin-skinned, but I ain't that thin-skinned. But he knew me as like fucking, not only as the guy who always wears the backwards baseball cap in movies, but at that point I'd gravitated to wearing it in real life as well.
Right.
So I'm sitting in the audience with my backwards baseball cap. For him to casually toss it off, it felt very affectionate. It was very, very sweet.
He's and a legend to a degree I can't explain. If I
You are
start to
not
talk
fucking
about it,
kidding.
I'll just go blah, blah, blah.
In here, we pour whiskey.
Hey, man, we've all been there. Your parlay is one leg away. That's all you need, and a relief pitcher gives up a walk-off home run in the ninth. Heartbreaking. Huh? I know about heartbreak. I'm from Chicago. The double doink sound familiar? Nightmare. But the HOF app is built to fix just that, my friends. Hall of Fame Bets, HOF. I know you've heard of it. It is incredible. All right, started by two lifelong sports fans who also happen to be Ivy League grads. Ooh. HOF makes parlay research smarter, faster, and data-driven. That's what we need in sports, is more data-driven. Whether it's MLB, NBA, NFL, or NHL, or college sports, the app gives you beautiful charts, clean visuals, and real insight, not hype. No nonsense, no rumors, the real data. They believe anything the books know, you should know too, right? If they know, why don't you? Parlays don't have to be dumb bets. With HOF, they aren't. With a 4.9 rating in the App Store and over 6,000 5-star reviews, safe to say HOF has already helped a lot of people bet smarter. Our listeners are going to get a 7-day free trial and 50% off their first month. Just download the HOF app and use code WHISKEY at the checkout. For a limited time only, our listeners not only get a 7-day free trial, but they also get 50% off their first month when they use code WHISKEY at checkout. Just download the HOF app on iOS or Android and enter the code WHISKEY, and you're set. This episode of Whiskey Ginger is brought to you by Squarespace. I've talked about Squarespace so much on this show because I believe in it and I use it and I loved it. When I used to create sites back in the old days when I first started touring and doing C and D level rooms to 19 people who didn't want to be there was no website to be had. It was the olden days. But now you can create a beautiful website that has so much technology built in thanks to Squarespace. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's ridiculous. Cutting edge design. They also have SEO tools that get you discovered faster and you show up more often. And also, they have a video space on there, which I love. You can put whether you're a performer or you're a teacher or a coach, and you can throw up your videos there for premium workshops and tutorials and whatever have you. They have email campaigns. You can also sell content on there, which is amazing because we're all trying to do that. And with the help of their analytics, I'm telling you, their intuitive built-in analytics tools are ridiculous. You can see the website traffic right in front of your face. So if you're looking to build a website, go over to squarespace.com. Check it out, okay? Do yourself a favor. Go to squarespace.com/whiskey to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using that code whiskey. Okay? Squarespace.com. That code is whiskey. Save yourself 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Tell me this.
Yeah.
Jason Lee, you said very quickly, you kind of went in and out. Do you give yourself credit for a lot of the findings of Jason Lee?
Not credit, but I was smart enough to cast him. I give credit for Jason Lee. Technically, honestly, Jason Lee deserves the credit, and here's why. So Jason Lee is dating Marissa Ribisi, who is the redheaded, curly-haired chick in Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
Could be your sister in the arch.
Dude,
Oh
you
my
write
God.
it.
Now
I'll
that
do
I
it.
see it, I can
You write it,
fucking,
Kevin.
you and
I'll do
Marissa
it.
Ribisi, get Vonnie in there as well.
Come on, man.
Marissa Ribisi is dating Jason Lee while they're making Dazed and Confused. Marissa Ribisi is the sister of Vonnie Ribisi, another fine actor from Avatar and movies like that and shit. And better movies. And I'm not saying Avatar's bad, but he's fucking great actor,
Right.
Vonnie. He just also is in a mainstream movie as well from time to time. His mom, Gay Ribisi, is a manager in the business. She manages her two kids' careers. She manages other people's careers. So we're casting this movie, and our casting, Mallrats. And our casting director is a guy named Don Phillips. Don Phillips had cast Fast Times at Ridgemont High, so he discovered Sean Penn. He also cast Dazed and Confused, so he discovered Matthew McConaughey.
Good God.
I mean, you know, Richard, I think, was like, you should look at this guy. But regardless, he's the guy, he's the casting director, he gets the cred. So on this movie, we're seeing all of young Hollywood come in. And then one day, Don Phillips goes to me and Scott, he goes, Gay Ribisi, the manager, he's gone, she got somebody she wants to send in. I was like, great, who? And he's like, he's never acted before. I was like, get out of here. He goes, he was a professional skateboarder, but he wants to act. And I was like, and he goes, well, it might be a waste of your time. And I was like, my whole first movie, nobody's a professional. Like, yeah, man, like, what's the worst it could be? He could be terrible. Bring him in. Let's see. So Jason Lee came in, and all the guys auditioned with a TS monologue or a TS scene that was in the movie and cut. It was in the 15-year anniversary. The cut opening of the sequence took place on the rooftop and shit. Whole opening of the movie we wound up cutting off. So all the guys auditioned for TS using those lines, and all the girls auditioned using the Brandy lines from that scene. So Jason came in, and like I remember he was a fucking kid, but I was a kid too, but he was even younger than me. So he's real earnest. Like, because of the movie, you should think like, oh my God, he's like Jason Mewes, like funny as fuck. But Jason Lee's a pretty earnest guy. So he comes in, and I was like, so they tell me you're a skateboarder. You know, I'm looking for anything to talk to him about and shit. And he goes, yeah. He goes, but I retired. And I was like, oh, because, you know, skateboarding to me is a way to get from a place to place. And I knew like there were people that ollied things, but I didn't know you could make a living from it, right? Yeah. So he goes, but I'm retired. I goes, oh, I say you can retire from skateboarding? He looks up so serious as a heart attack. Not shitty, but just like, oh, I got to fucking...
Inform you?
Yeah, I got to disabuse you of your ignorance. He goes, well, I was skateboarding at a professional level for 9 years. And I was like, oh, my bad. I didn't know that was a thing. So he read, and he honestly, he was like he was fine. It wasn't like, my God, I could see the future. But we had such a good time talking to him because he was a real person. And unlike every actor who came in, you know, kind of like Sparkle and Legally Sparkle, he came in like a human being who was just like, I think acting would be fun. Like Citizen Kane. I think it would be fun to run a newspaper, you know. So it was kind of charming. So after he comes in, Don Phillips goes, what do you think? I was like, I don't think he's right for the movie, but bring him back. He's a nice guy. And he's like, it'll be good for him if he gets to come back because he's never auditioned before. And I was like, yeah, by all means, bring him back. We like talking to him. So he came back. When he came back, instead of reading TS, we had him read Brody lines. We were like, he ain't a TS, but maybe he could be Brody. And we didn't think he was going to be him because we had seen a guy earlier, day one of auditions, who we were like, that's fucking Brody.
Who was it? Do you remember?
I do, and I don't know his name. It's not like, and that guy is Leonardo, J fucking Tobey Maguire. But he was in a movie. Like, I saw him on the big screen, and that's how I knew him when we had him to the audition. He was in Speed. He was somebody who was on the bus in Speed. So when he came in, we were like, you were in fucking Speed. And he was crushing the audition. So we were like, this guy's going to be Brody. So Jason Lee, even though we brought him back and we let him read for Brody, there was no inclination like, here's our guy. When he's reading the lines, there was a scene also cut from the movie, but it's in the cut scenes. You can see it on the DVD if you have it still, physical media. He has a line... Brody, where he refers to, he's in front of Svenning's house and he pretends he's his neighbor. And he's like, he's given the reporter gossip about Jared Svenning's house, Michael Rooker. And he goes, the line is something like, I even heard they had a black mass there. And his pronunciation of black mass was so charming to me. He held it out like a sheep. He was like, black mass. He goes, they even had a black mass there. And it was him holding out those A's like, bah, that I was like, that it made me laugh out loud. And not at him, but I was like, that's funny. Like, you know, what a choice. Acting is a job of choices. That's all it is.
Right.
It's not like, well, motherfucker's born with talent. No. An actor makes a choice. They choose how to deliver a line. The choice makes that line believable. That's what makes an actor convincing. He made a fucking choice nobody else would make.
Worked.
And I don't know if it was a choice or if that's how he
Yeah, I was just gonna
says
say.
black
Did
and
he
mass.
just say it weird? He's like, that's just how I say it,
But
man.
for me, I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And so we kept bringing Jason back. Like Don Phillips would be like, do you think he'll be in it? I said, I don't think he's right for anything, but bring him back. He's a nice guy. He made it all the way to the final round where Don Phillips did this thing called the pizza party where he had multiple people who were up for the same role come on the same day. And he round robined everybody. It's something that like I'd never cast movies before other than Clerks, which we did low budget. So I thought, oh, this must be the way they do it in Hollywood. Ever since then, I've heard from people who like that was the worst auditioning experience of my life. Like you made me sit in a room with somebody else who was up for the same fucking
Hated
part. I was
that.
like, I didn't do shit, man. I was like, that was Don Phillips. They told me that's how they did it on Dazed and Confused. And people were like, and I hated it then. So he came to the pizza party more as a stalking horse. Like we needed 3 choices. We had a guy that we liked and we all thought was going to be Brody. So it's like, we got to bring 2 other people.
Yeah.
Bring Jason Lee. It'll be good for him because he's trying to establish himself and fucking his first movie audition route, he gets all the way to the last round.
Yeah.
So we were framing it as a favor to him, even though technically it's like, well, we need bodies in there, even though we got the guy we think we like. And the strangest thing happened. I'd never seen it before, but I hadn't done it before. But I've never seen it since. You know, in hockey, there's an expression, the game is on your stick. The game is on my man's stick. All he had to do was sweep it in to the fucking
That's
net.
it.
And the goalie wasn't even there.
Yours to lose.
And he did. Like, over the course of the like him doing the scene, it wasn't the same guy who was killing it in the room. So much so that I did a thing that I've never done since, where at one point, 3 hours into the day, I pulled him aside and I was like, I don't know how to say this, but you're losing it, which is the worst fucking thing to say to somebody that's doing it, but I didn't know what to do. I
Just
was
start cleaning the gun like, really? Okay.
like, exactly. And like in retrospect, but I was like, I was scared for him, more for me, because I was like, all my hopes are pinned on you.
Yeah.
Like fucking, like, so you got to show him what you showed us. And it never came back. It was a weird phenomenon that to this day, I feel bad for the kid. However, Jason Lee, not even going like, well, here's my chance, just kept black massing it. Just steady as you go.
Yeah.
And like slow and steady won the race. By the end of the day, even the studio people from Universal were like, who is that guy?
Wow.
He's pretty funny. And so Don Phillips and, when the pizza party was done, the people who were left still in the hallways and shit like that, everyone waiting to find out. And so Don Phillips goes, what do we think for Brody? And I was like, I think it's Jason Lee. Like everyone thought he was funny. He's playing. And he goes, if you want to do it, he's never done anything before. I was like, Black Mass. And he goes, I know you love it.
I know,
He's
Black
going-
Mass, I know.
So he goes, do you want to tell him or you want me to tell him? And I was like, well, what does one do? And he goes, I mean, I'm happy to tell him. He's going, but you could change somebody's life. Have you ever changed somebody's life before? And I was like, no. And he goes, well, why don't you deliver the news? Just to watch his face. And I was like, all right, fucking yeah, bring him into the office. So Jason comes in. It was called the pizza party because they literally brought pizza. All the actors, nobody touched the pizza because they were like,
Yeah, I'm not
hate
gonna
this.
eat. Yeah.
They were fucking nervous as shit. So Jason Lee didn't eat any pizza, but I guess by the end of the day was hungry as fuck. And he got himself, in my memory, it's a Whopper. He remembers it as Carl's Jr. I don't even know if they existed in 95. Got to do the math on that.
He can look it up. Did
When
they
Jason
exist?
tells the story, he goes, Carl's Jr. I was like, I remember it being a Whopper. But regardless, he came in with a bag of fast food and sat down in the chair. And he was like, do you mind if I eat? I'm really hungry. And I was like, oh my God, eat away. Go ahead. Was there a Carl's Jr.?
Carl's Jr. opened in 1941.
Yep, Carl's Jr. is also Hardee's,
Hardee's,
right? They're
yeah.
owned by the same company.
Listen to this fucking.
And let me tell
I'm
you
like,
something.
I don't even know if they existed. They're like, we predate you, asshole.
Yeah, dude.
We existed before you.
And by the
did.
way, do you remember the kid's
Your
name? Did you
father
find out the kid?
ate a burger from us before he fucked your mother. That's who we are.
While he was fucking your mother,
Yeah,
he was
same
eating
time. He's like,
one of our burgers.
he was riding your mother's sweet ass, and he was eating Hardee's.
Are you talking about the kid from Speed?
Yeah, what is his name?
I do have the list
Don't.
of people from Speed.
Don't
to
say it.
go through.
Don't.
Okay.
No, but we'll talk about it
But
afterwards.
anybody could do their homework.
Yes.
Make them work for
No,
it.
but I wanted him to fight it for us. All right,
Yes.
we'll talk about it later.
So
He's eating that burger.
He's eating
a
Carl's Jr.
Carl's Jr.
You got
burger.
to cop to it.
Yeah.
Fuck, he knows. I tried to at least explain to him. I was like, no, it was a Whopper. He's like, it was Carl's Jr.
Whopper does sound better, by the way.
I was trying to get Burger King to buy it.
You're a storyteller.
And I was trying to get Burger King to give us money.
That's right. Give us some money, man.
So you know what?
Yeah.
Whoever wants to give us money, that's the burger.
That's
he
the
eats.
burger, dude.
So he's eating his Carl's Jr. He's like, would you mind if I was like, eat away. So he's like, and I was like, well, you're it, man. We want you to play Brody. And this was his reaction. He's like, yeah? And he just went back to eating his fucking burger. That's how I changed his life. He wanted one look up, but then he was so fucking hungry right back.
Is that right? Cool.
Yeah. Like, almost is honestly like Jason Lee is beyond talented and talent out. But you're literally talking about a guy who was like, I think it'd be fun to be an actor.
Yeah.
As a second career. After he was like, I think it'd be fun to be a professional skateboarder. Motherfucker could manifest.
Yeah, he did
You
it.
know what I'm saying? He should be playing lottery numbers. Or he should be picking them and giving them to me.
Give me the reasoning for a number. I think you might know the question I'm going to ask. Why 37 dicks?
What a beautiful question. I don't get to answer this nearly enough. Because in the beginning, people would ask. And then when I give them the answer in the early 90s, people were sad that they asked. Because you couldn't really talk like this back then. My ex-girlfriend, my high school girlfriend, who I'm still dear friends with, had a list of people she had sex with. It was me and somebody else, and that was it.
Right.
But the list of people she had blown was far larger. So 2 versus 12. And I was always like, 12. 12. Like, my God. And, you know, she was like Catholic like me and shit like that. Pretty, like, she, you know, just, that was the Catholic way. It's like, well, I'm not going to fuck, but.
Yeah, but I'll blow you, dude.
Totally. So when I was writing the number, I was like, well, 12 is too close to home. So it's got to be a ridiculous number. Like, it's got to be something that would make your hair blow back. So I'm going to at least fucking double it. And so I wrote 24, and I was like, I don't know, that ain't funny.
It's a round number. It's too round of a number. Yeah.
And so I was like, well, 3 times that. And so 3 times it was like 36. And then I was like, 37. So I just added one more just to be like, oh my God, the ridiculous. 40 would have been like, this ain't true.
Right. Correct.
But 37 felt, now for 1994, 37 felt unreasonable, unrealistic, and the height of comedy.
Sure.
Because unless you were getting paid to blow for a living, who would ever blow that many people? I remember fucking showing this movie within the last 5 years. And in a Q&A, somebody was like, why do you think 37 blowjobs is a lot? And I was like, oh my God, I missed my fucking generation. Holy shit, are you serious? Like, I was told that was a shockingly low number.
Well, you're in the
like,
generation of OnlyFans, man. This is a different world now, dude. You know,
No
his
fucking
25-year-olds, it's a different world, dude.
I guess it's all blowies these days.
But we
Who
used to
knew?
say that so common, like our friends would say that all the I mean, the common phrase was when someone would get out of somebody's car and we were meeting someone somewhere, we'd always be like, try not to suck any dick while walking to the parking lot. And we'd scream it out to our friends.
I love that.
And then
It makes me so happy.
just because we'd be driving away and they'd have to be there with it, and they'd be like,
Leave it in the
that's from a movie. And everyone around is like, what the fuck were they talking about? And you're like, nothing, dude.
Even if you drop that quote today, the percentage of people who are going to know it, minimal. Then,
Yeah.
it's not like anyone heard it. It was like, hey, that's Clerks. Most people just hearing that are like, you guys are animals.
I mean, our pig friends our little clique of pigs knew, everybody knew, and we said it all the time. But 37 was the number that, as a joke, we always talked about that of like, dude, 37. 37 is so many dicks. And it was.
It's the number. For years, I wore hockey jerseys, and I wore the copper and the blue, but with my own insignias. And then I moved to Chicago alt jersey colors, which black and red. And the number on all of them has always been 37. Like, 37 was a fucking crazy lucky number for me. Mercifully, it's not, it doesn't play for everybody like, oh, what a quaint time, 37. There's still some people who are like, it's pretty high.
Yeah.
And that gives me hope for the future.
Yeah, you're like, we're going to work out. Well, as a father, I'm sure you're like, is it bad?
I remember she saw like Clerks for the first time when she was 18, 19 or something like that. And I was like, what'd you think? She was like, for years people have been saying like, your father means something to me, and I never understood why. And she's going, I kind of get it now. She's going, that was a cool movie. I was like, fucking thanks.
That's an amazing moment, though.
Pretty sweet.
Like, that's cool. That like I have friends that have this moment with their kids, especially because your kid, your kid. I say kid. She's not a kid, but
26. But
your
still,
daughter.
She'll forever be my kid.
Yes, but your daughter is a successful actor in her own right, and works in.
She would question your use of the term successful.
Well,
she's
really?
real hard on herself. Oh my God, I
What's
feel bad.
what is success even? I mean, because it's such a subjective bullshit term anyway.
Here's how I gauge success. You wanted to be an actor, and you wanted to work with one of your favorite directors, and it ain't me. It was Quentin Tarantino, and you did it. Like,
that's it, dude.
Yeah. What?
You're there.
Keep going, but you won. With me, it was like none of this. I didn't dream of any of this. I just wanted to make Clerks. So I won, for me, a long time ago. Everything else has just been gravy. Like, no life plan. Everything else has just been like, oh, I get to do this now. Oh, I get to do this now. And it helps that, like, it's never lost its luster. We tend to silo off, and I'm no different. Like, I like being at my house, and I don't like going places and shit. But then, like, oh, I get to go out and talk about myself, and all right, fucking let's wait. There's whiskey involved. All right, let's fucking. So it's the gift that keeps on fucking giving, man. Like, I'm so it sounds ridiculous to say, but like, so glad I made that movie, the first one, all of them particularly, but like the first one, because it was kind of like a calling card. It was like, hi, my name's Kevin Smith. I want to talk to you for the rest of my life, and it was the way to do it. It was the way to introduce myself without feeling desperate. Like, if you watch old interviews with Kevin Smith, he was so laid back, cool. It's almost sickening. I can't stand it and shit. Like, he can't be bothered. Everything hurts so much. He's just like, can't believe I'm doing press. But meanwhile, it's like, old Kevin Smith is like, I can't believe anyone wants to talk to you, you asshole and shit. You don't even know how to fucking present entertainingly yet and shit. So it's been a weird, long career that I wasn't prepared for. But then there are cool moments where it's just like, oh, I'm going to go to a place and talk about myself for a while. Like, that's still does it for me. And then being able to make a thing. This is an instance where I'm out there talking about a thing I didn't make. So I don't have to educate people on it. I don't have to be like, well, it's called the 4:30 movie, and I made it, and I shot it at my movie theater, and it's kind of the story of like how I first fell in love with film. This is like, hey man, remember Dogma? Like, fuck yeah, that was like when Fight Club came out. You get credit for movies you didn't even make.
Right.
Because people are like, that's the same year as Fight Club and Matrix. You're like, yeah, that's right, and I didn't make either of those. But I'm happy to be in the same company. If you feel good about it, I can tell by your energy that that's a good thing.
But now the re-release of Dogma, though.
I don't have Matrix around me. I don't have Fight Club, so I'm fucked this time.
What do you have now? What's around you now? What does it come out?
Oddly enough, Ben Affleck. Affleck is in a movie called The Accountant 2 in theaters right now.
And this comes out?
This comes out next week on June 5th. So old Ben Affleck and young Ben Affleck are finally going to battle at the box office.
We hope the young one wins.
I do.
I hope the young one wins.
Fuck yeah. I think The Accountant's had its time. 1 and 2.
In here, we pour whiskey.
Hey, here to tell you about LIGHTSTRIKE. I don't know if you've seen this or you've heard of it, but this is an excellent source of 5% alcohol, all right? 10% coconut water is in this orange mango that I'm holding right now, all right? They live for the double take. What is that? It's incredible. You've seen this on the shelf, perhaps, all right? They got some sea salt. It's not carbonated. It's gluten-free, for those of you that need it to be. It's 10% coconut water. I don't know why I'm doing an accent, but it's 10% coconut water. Bold and ambitious, Gen Z drinkers, young folks out there, all right? You're the life of the party, all right? So this is what you're looking for. You're looking for something fun, all right? LIGHTSTRIKE is hard refresher. It's not just another alcohol product. It's a survival tool. Damn it. LIGHTSTRIKE is the first hard beverage built to play the long game, featuring a crushable combination of coconut water, sea salt, and 5% ABV. This party pacer, shockingly smooth, fizz-free, not carbonated, and gluten-free. All right? They got a couple of flavors. Lemon lime, which I like, but orange mango I like because I am an orange mango boy, as you know. You have to try this, man. Give it a whirl. It is quite delicious. Visit lightstrike.com to find some, and follow at Drink LIGHTSTRIKE on social. LIGHTSTRIKE hard refresher, an excellent source of 5% alcohol. Lemon, lime, and orange mango, and it comes in a resealable bottle, giving you the control of how hard you go. You want to go ham? Go off. Hey, when you talk about credit, everyone's all up in arms about, how hard it is to maintain, how hard it is to get, but Kickoff is here, all right? Kickoff is here to help you get it done, all right? With credit and stuff going up, prices of everything is going high. feels like everything costs way too much, but credit building is easier thanks to Kickoff. All right, I had a tough time with credit when I was younger, and I didn't know how to do it. But thanks to something like Kickoff, now you can start building credit immediately for only $1 for your first month. And AutoPay helps you build credit while you sleep and never worry about missing a payment. Sign up in minutes from your phone, no credit check. You can cancel at any time, and they've got over 1 million users, hundreds of thousands of positive reviews. There's a reason why Kickoff is the #1 credit builder on the App Store. I am telling you, you need to start building credit. If you're young, you gotta have it. You gotta get it, because then you're gonna want to buy something in the future, whether it's a house or a car or just any purchase that you need credit for. You got to start building credit with Kickoff today. And you can get your first month for as little as $1. That's 80% of the normal price when you go to getkickoff.com/whiskey today. That's Kickoff without the C. That's getkickoff.com/whiskey. Must sign up via getkickoff.com/whiskey to activate offer. Offer applies to new Kickoff customers. First month only, subject to approval. Offer subject to change. Average first year credit score impact of plus 84 points. Vantage score 3.0 between January 2023 and January 2024 for Kickoff credit account users who started with a score below 600, who paid on time, and who had no delinquencies or collections added to their credit profile during the period. Late payments may negatively impact your credit score. Individual results may vary.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Coming out in June. When we came out last time, it was like November. Like, nobody was like, hey, this could be a summer movie. But here we are coming out in June. Like,
you guys were a Thanksgiving release, basically?
Isn't that nuts?
That's
yes.
really
in
weird.
advance of Thanksgiving. Let me tell you a little inside art from back in the day. I don't think it matters anymore. They put it in theaters, I think it was like November 13th, I believe it opened, because they knew if it was in theaters for 2 weeks when Thanksgiving happened, it would get the Thanksgiving bump.
The bump, yeah.
Isn't it amazing? Like Thanksgiving, traditionally, there's always a bump at the box office.
Right.
And there are many theories as to why that happens. People are like, oh, you're home with your relatives, and fucking people are like, let's go to the movies as a family. But the most dominant theory is like people hate their fucking families so much. They're like,
I'm going to go see a fucking movie.
I can relate to them without having to relate to them. I can
Right.
sit in a room with them, be with them without having to talk to them. But there is always a box office bump. So we did enjoy a third week box office bump on Dogma because of Thanksgiving.
It ended up doing very well in the box office.
30 million,
Yeah.
which is like, well, look. At
What, in
that
the year of
time-
its release? That's huge.
Yeah, well, 100 would have been huge.
Wow.
Especially because Pulp Fiction did 100. And
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction, well, and most people in the audience going, but you didn't make Pulp Fiction. I'm like, I know. But Pulp Fiction, I never would have thought about making a movie that ever made 100 million, let alone, I was shocked I made a movie that made $2 and shit. But Pulp Fiction making 100 million gave all of us indie filmmakers hope, because it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, you could make something that off the beaten path and it could do business. It could cross over into a multiplex.
Right.
Like, maybe anything's possible. So going into Dogma, there was like, oh my God, could we make that? We didn't. But 30 million was like, that's high end for Kevin Smith. Dogma and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back both topped off at 30 million. So it feels like I had a $30 million.
You're the $30 million man.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the name of this episode now.
We
the
can
$30 million
rebuild
man.
him.
Well, look, I want to say this to you before. I mean, there's so many things I want to say to you.
Say them all.
Well,
Say
first of
'em
all,
all.
shout out to the Jinko jean shorts that you were wearing when you came in. He was rocking Jinkos, and you know what's really
I
strange?
said, like myself, straight out the 90s.
Straight out the 90s. Well, this young lad here, my little boy McCone, his
I remember that song from childhood.
My little boy McCone.
My little boy
McCone.
McCone will be a man one day like me.
We hope. But his generation now loves Jinkos. And
yeah,
I was like,
they came fucking
it's
back.
crazy.
But y'all like them too long for my taste. I like them knee length, and when I stand, they just cover my knees. Because
Yeah.
I got my mom's childbearing hips and fat thighs. So for years, I've always been interested in elephant trunk shorts because they come down enough to cover that shit.
Right.
I, conversely, have tremendous calves. Not
you
because
do
I've
have
ever,
nice calves.
Thank you.
And I can tell you why you have nice calves.
Tell me.
Because I see you hiking all the time.
Well, that's part of it. But also, I had them even before I hiked. It was because I had to hoist like a very large carriage for most of my life. So the thighs retain like fat cells and they just get chubby and shit. But my calves, man, always look good. So if I've always wanted shorts that covered everything else but
the calves.
So it was like, a kilt would have done it or a dress, but Jinko particularly worked out for me. So over the years, Jinko's come and gone in terms of somebody revives it and stuff like that. And every time it comes under new ownership, I rush to the website to be like, all right, man, I need 13-inch. But they commit more to 15 and then almost 17, which is like, it might as well be pants at that point. So I have bought Jinkos and brought them to tailors and been like, can you take off 2 inches, please, and bring them up? They don't work. It doesn't look right.
No.
Like it looks like you're wearing bell-bottom jorts or something like that. They flare out. So this pair, the old but reliable, man, I've had it for so fucking long. And I was saying before we started, because I got my mom's like heavy thighs, the inside of your thighs go like this, and you lose pants and shorts a lot quicker, even if you're wearing denim. Fuck, that's why I can't wear corduroy. I learned that as a kid, man.
I hate corduroy.
Well, number one, the vrut, but number two, it's like that shit fucking fades quick between chubby thighs and shit. But this shows you how strong Jinkos are. And denim, I'm still, like, there's no, like, oh
Nowhere.
my God. Yeah, there's no, like, I'm going to have to give them up. I have to start making plans for what's next. I'll put patches inside or whatever, because I've done that with some clothes. But there's Jinkos, man.
They've lasted. Can I propose that you buy
One knee,
Jinko?
please. Oh, the company.
Why wouldn't you try?
Because
They keep going in and out, like, right? They
do.
Who owns them now? Look up who owns Jinko, because I remember they were revitalized by a larger company, and then they sold them, and they stopped selling them, and they started selling them again. Someone like Kevin Smith needs to buy Jinko.
You know who'd be more successful with it? John Cena, also a certified jorts wearer, from what I understand.
He's a big George dog. I shot a movie with him. I lived my dream. I shot a movie with him and Pete Fairley.
Fuck, which one?
I shot a movie called Ricky Stenicki. Me, him, and Zac Efron down in Australia. It was on Amazon.
I was going to say,
we never hit the
saw
theaters.
that title.
Yeah, we never hit the theaters.
Who's in it?
Me, Cena, and Zac Efron.
How was that?
It was fucking amazing. I mean, it was a dream come true.
Where'd you shoot it?
In Australia. And
So you got to
Melbourne.
For how long?
We were there for 2.5 months,
You must
something
have
like that.
blended in. So, there's a land of white people
yeah,
down there. They
Ranga.
must have been like, you're one of us.
Look at a
mate.
ranga, mate. Yeah,
Is
look
that
at a
what
little
they
ranga,
said?
mate. Yeah,
That's
they
what
call you
call it?
orangutan. Yeah, they call you the rangas. No, but I shot with Fairley, like you said about your daughter with Tarantino. As a kid,
Were you a big Something About Mary fan? Or
the Fairley brothers made everything
general.
that I ever loved. I mean, everything I ever loved. And I like Pete more than Bobby. Kidding. But Pete, no, but
That's
Pete,
deep cuts, man.
No, but working with Pete was like, that was the thing what you said about your daughter. When anybody asked me, they're like, what do you want to do in your career or whatever? I'm like, I hope I get to keep doing it. But
Right.
if I got to check out now, it was
You were
rad.
like, when you get up there, at the pearly gates,
Wherever it is.
before they judge, before they do anything, I like to think when they get there, they're like, how was it?
Like, pretty
And you
fucking
get your
cool.
moment
Yeah.
to yelp it up and be like, mid, 2-star, or whatever the fuck. But, like it could have been better, and here's how. But to be up there and be like, hey, are you fucking kidding me? I got to work with fucking one of the Farrelly brothers, the
Yeah.
one I like.
I couldn't have been.
And this guy.
I couldn't have been happier. It was incredible. And when you write the next iteration of Archie and you put me in it, I'm very excited for that.
Bro, you want to be in a Kevin Smith movie? I'm not even kidding.
Say
It
less.
is so easy. You just have to be there when it happens.
I'll be here.
Done and done.
Just make it happen.
Be
Tell
local.
Me,
That's
who
it.
owns Jinko?
The original owner reacquired it in 2019, Milo Riva.
Damn it.
Are you serious?
They
That's
bought it
romantic,
back.
though.
I
How
know, it's
awesome.
beautiful. Yeah, but that hurts my heart a little bit because now you're definitely not going to get it.
I don't need it.
We
but what
want
I do
it.
need to get in touch with them and be like, bro, 13 inches is a sweet spot.
Say the name. Say the name of the gentleman.
Milo Riva.
Let's put it out there.
Shout out to Milo Riva if you're listening. Which let's tag as many people can find Milo Riva. That Kevin really needs the continuation of the 13-inch.
Also,
please.
easy to work with. Licensing agreements in the pits, like cost nothing to do a Kevin Smith Jinko line.
Let's do the collab.
In
Can
one
we?
of the incarnations of Jinko, they sent me protos of Kevin Smith jorts. And
Wait,
it had
really?
the Silent Bob Hawks logo I used to wear on my jersey all the time, on the jean pocket and stuff. So they, unfortunately, they were too big. They don't fit anymore and shit. But for a red hot minute, it was going to exist. So, Jinko.
Can we make this happen again? Let's put it
Yeah!
is. That's it, dude. Let's shake this back into reality, please,
on.
fans at home.
Like, I know Cena's like, way more well known. And if you do a John Cena line, naturally, fucking, you'll be selling to like all the wrestling crowd. But there are a few middle-aged men still around who will commit to a life
yes.
in jorts. But don't make it good enough that, they got to rebuy every year. Otherwise, what's the fucking point? So why don't you make some disposable Jinkos?
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I'm
Like
saying?
paper straws.
Exactly.
Make it so they wear out, man. Make it so they wear out. I appreciate you so very much for coming on the show,
Are you
man. It
kidding
means
me?
the
I'm
world
thank
to
you
me.
for having me. And shit. I feel bad we didn't whiskey it up.
No, that's okay. You're not a big whiskey guy. You told me before the show.
I don't drink at all, and not because I'm trying to live sober or some such shit. I've never liked the taste of booze, even in high school. It's so hard to go to high school keggers and shit because I was like,
Not even beer.
no, especially beer.
What about a little bit of weed? A little bit of weed?
Back in the day, I was a huge fucking stuff.
Yeah, but no. How long has that been gone out of your life?
I went crazy 2.5 years ago, so then.
2.5.
Yeah, because I went into this joint, Sierra Tucson. Kids, if you ever feel yourself slipping from the grasp of reality or in need of mental health, I don't care how old you are, race, creed, or color, or what gender you are, for heaven's sakes, don't ever hesitate to ask for help. I did, and that's the whole reason we're having this conversation right now. So when I was in there, I was in for a month, and I was like, oh shit, I haven't smoked weed for a month. Like, let me see how long I can keep this going. So it was 15 years that I had been smoking weed. And so I was like, let me try to keep going for another 15. I don't think I'm going to make it because when I started this journey, the world wasn't as fucked up as it is right now. So if I was ever, what a great place for an ad. If I was ever going to fall off the wagon, it would be for this. On June 6th, Jeter, we're doing a collab, as the kids say. Jeter is doing the donut joint for National Donut Day, and this year it is powered by Jay and Silent Bob's Blunt Man's Chronic. That is the strain. This is one of the most powerful joints on the planet. It has a resin stick in the middle that, as you smoke it, looks like a donut. This is my gift to you.
Oh my God! Thank you, sir. This is amazing.
There's weed.
This is wonderful. I need both. I got to be honest
Grains,
with you.
sometimes need greens. I need both.
I do like
Look at all this
both.
fucking whiskey. You're like,
No,
it ain't
no, no.
enough.
We do enjoy both. I mean,
Yeah,
we
fuck
do
it.
like to dabble a little bit, especially because
It's a good one.
I'll
June
be-
6th, it comes
I'll
out. I
enjoy
think there's
this.
only like fucking 500, and then they sell
June
out.
6th, it's going to be out. We'll put the link in the description down below, by the way. And also,
June 5th, Dogma.
June
in
5th, get
theaters
your
everywhere.
ass to the theater. Do the right thing,
Yeah.
right?
Especially if you're a Whiskey Ginger fan, you're like, I want him in the next fucking movie and shit.
Yeah, if you want to, please, if you want this thing to come to fruition,
The only next movie happens if people like the old movie when we re-release it.
go see it. Get your ass out, please. We end the episode the same way. You look into that camera, you say one word or one phrase. Sometimes people did a phrase or imparting wisdom. Some people just want to say one word to end the episode whenever you're ready.
Kids, your voice is your currency. Spend it across this life. And I don't mean just by going out and telling people like, here's my opinion about fucking Superman. You can spend time on the internet, that's fun, but don't waste your life on the internet. Let people know your story. Your story is valuable and it's interesting. It's different from mine and different than his, different than hers and shit like that. So there's value to it. And I know a lot of people have bastardized this word and made it mean fucking something it don't. But I'm here to tell you right now, you're a fucking snowflake. And I mean that in the best possible way because that means you're unique and different than everybody else. That uniquity, it's valuable. I've spent my life using my voice, so to speak. Your voice is this simple. How you perceive the world and how you spit it back to the world. How you translate the world and life back to the audience, back to any audience, back to even just somebody you're having a conversation with. Your voice is your currency, and we're all in this together, right? Like fucking nobody gave us a handbook, so we don't know what's going on. We share information. That's how we proceed. That's how we move ahead. And since you're a human being and I'm a human being, we share the human condition. But your journey has been incredibly different than mine. Snowflake is very different. So because of that, I can glean things that I haven't learned about my own life. So your story is valuable. It's worth something. Emerging artists always think about doing something that's been done before, mimicking something that has had success. You can try that and it could work. But why not die on the cross of originality? Tell them something they never heard before. I walk into a room, I say Clerks 19, they're like, fuck, yet again. You could walk into a room and tell them the thing they've been waiting to hear their whole fucking lives. The reason they got into the movie business and film financing in the first place, because they're like, I just want to tell fucking amazing stories. You have an amazing story. You've lived an amazing story. Find a way to tell it, to share it with the world. And if you can monetize it, even better. But if you can't, even if you're just doing it for free, you're interesting. And you're beautiful, and you're smart, and you got something to say, man. Tell them who you are. Let this world know who you are before you leave it, this best of all possible worlds. And I don't mean by gunning people down on your way out. No, by sharing your experience, your journey, and what you've learned, man. You count, you matter, and we need that information that you got. Think about it, man. Fucking, we're all just diodes in some gigantic fucking program. You're just as important as this diode or whatever the fuck I am. So, share that information. Share your story.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.